Well, we will move along with the next step of the process here. We're getting ready to weld the lower hoist mount down to the angle irons that are going to be bolted to the truck frame. If you didn't catch the last video, we ended up drilling these holes with a V-Vor mag drill. So go back to the last video if you want to see a 1300 watt V-Vor mag drill do some work here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of paint off of here with a grinder. We're going to weld the front and the back on each side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull the lower hoist mount off and weld this back side here and the front side with a continuous bead of weld. Then we'll throw some paint on there, put it back on the truck frame, bolt it into place, and then we're going to move along to the back end here and we're going to cut in the tail hinge. We'll have to remove our tail lights. We'll put them on later. We'll go ahead and cut this frame about here, I believe. We'll cut it just like so. Weld our tail hinge in there. And yeah, put a bumper on it. And then we can work towards the front end here with the rest of this project here. So let's go ahead and get some welding done here. What do you think? Well, we have our hoist mounts all on there now. So I took both of these off, slid them out of there, and I took them over onto the bench and welded all the way around them. Even got a weld down in on this side, which that can accept that weld because of the radius in the frame. So now what we're going to do is we are going to mark out here where the tail hinge is going to be, and we're going to cut the frame. I'm going to cut it 5 inches down, 5 inches back, and then straight off somewhere around there. So we obviously have to remove our tail lights. We'll tuck the wiring in up front, get our piece cut here very nicely, and then we'll go ahead and weld in the actual tail hinge. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this with the plasma cutter. Usually I use torches, but we should be able to use the plasma cutter on this. Okay, so what we have is we have the frame cut for the tail hinge to be setting into place. That is just setting in there. I've got to weld it yet. We've got everything square. We went around it with the grinder to take off this paint, and then we beveled it just a little bit, or beat it off just a little bit, so that when we weld it, we can lay a nice bead in there. Now we're going to be putting a bumper on this as well, and I've got some 4x7 angle iron laying in the Evolution saw. Now this is 3/8 thickness, 4x7. This is the biggest thing that we've had in this saw. I shouldn't say that. Jared has had some 8-inch pipe in here. The throat on this is 8 inches. And when this 7-inch channel is laying like it is, it's just 8 inches wide. Now I could have that sitting on its back here and cut it that way, but I figured I would just lay it down like this, and we will go ahead and get it cut. So we'll just kind of set you guys up right here. See how this works. Okay, so now this is the cross piece. Now we need to cut a couple of vertical pieces, and the vertical pieces are going to come right onto the frame. The 4-inch leg is going to be running across the back, and then the 7 inches coming up front here, and then that'll go down, and we'll jack our bumper or our angle iron plate up to it. Alright, our plug went somewhere here. There, yeah. Alright, so now we're going to cut this to length. And then we're going to go ahead and cope out that piece of angle iron so that we can weld this in there on the bench rather than welding it in upside down. All right, we are ready to start the next step. We have the tail hinge all welded in. We've got our bumper installed along with a wagon tow hitch. We put a couple of D-rings on the back here as well. That's just something to hook onto in the event that the truck gets stuck or what have you. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mark out that rear plate that the hydraulic fittings are gonna go into. I need to mark that. We need to put several hydraulic fittings on there. We've got to have our wire plug for the silage body to plug into for the light, and or a manure tanker or a flatbed, whatever he wants to put on here. We'll need to put various hydraulic fittings for a Husky manure tank. You kind of seen that on the last one. We're doing this one exactly the same. We've got to put like 10 fittings, hydraulic fittings across the back. So we'll go ahead and get everything marked out, and we'll join up with you once we get everything all figured out to where we have to drill holes and so on and so forth. Okay, that didn't do half bad. You'll see that I had to kind of hold the drill up a little bit, but the magnet was just barely strong enough to hold the drill in place just with the amount of force that was needed to drill those holes. Now, if we were on a thicker piece of metal, it would have been a lot better. It would not have broke that magnet loose, but the one nice thing about this Vevor drill opposed to the Milwaukee wouldn't even stick onto that because the drill is so heavy, the drill would just fall off of there. The horizontal pull on the magnet, in other words, it's got a vertical, it naturally needs the vertical pull on it just to hold it in place as it's drilling, that it doesn't lift itself up off of what you're drilling. The vertical or the horizontal pull of that magnet is going to be a lot less on any mag drill, but like I said, being that this one is lighter, it's easier to handle, and it was able to do this job. Now another thing you could do, you could have a piece of metal and clamp it on there or tack weld it and move yourself down. I've had to do that before on the truck frame to work around various things. We've played some games that way. So we'll go ahead and get our fittings into place. We do have one more hole to do, but I'm going to do that with a plasma cutter, and that's this one here. And we have to mark out for the trailer light plug assembly. So we'll go ahead and get things finalized here, and then we'll join back up with you in a few minutes here. All right, we have all of our fittings in place. I lack 2 bulkhead style fittings that are going to be for the tailgate locks. We're going to have a couple of 90-degree fittings here. that it'll get air from the truck to lock and unlock the actuator on the tailgate. What we're going to do now is we're going to make up a couple of brackets, one for each side to hang the truck lights from, the tail lights. We're going to get that done, and what we're going to do is we're going to use just a couple of pieces of angle iron, and we're going to go ahead and drill the holes into this angle iron with the V-bore mag drill. So we're going to drill these holes 1/2 inch. I don't know if I described this drill and the bits that I got with this drill in this video, or if it was the last one, so I do apologize. I did have these two videos, this one and the last one, back to back here. So they send you an assortment of drill bits, however it's in metric. So we're going to drill these holes 13 millimeter. Now another thing, and I can't remember if I explained it in this video or not, they did send a regular drill chuck. You can put that in there. Now you might notice that this drill doesn't have much depth to it. So if you, by the time you put that chuck in there and a bit, you don't really have enough depth. Well, what you can do is you can loosen up this Allen screw here, and you can slide this up to the top of the frame, and that'll gain you some depth in order to be able to put a regular drill bit into this chuck. We probably should be trying to demonstrate that. So we'll go ahead, put a 13 millimeter bit in, drill 4 holes. We're going to cut the angle iron right there. We're making a left side and a right side, and then we'll cut this other piece about here. So let's go ahead and get the bit in there and get these drilled quickly. Need to get the centering pin, jump that into there. Set that up into there. Now the only other problem with this drill is it doesn't have a brake on the mechanism that puts it, raises it up and down. We got that into there. Bring our piece of angle iron over. Be able to drill it down through this hole that's in the bench here. All right, so we've got those taillights mounted. The taillights are not really needed on there because the silage box and the manure tanker is going to have enough lighting on it. But we had the lights, and it is a good idea to have them on there in case they end up going somewhere with this when there's not a box on the truck. So that is going to conclude this video. We're going to roll right into this next segment here, and what we're going to be working on next is we are going to be getting these air tanks back on there, and we're also going to build the platform to put the hydraulic valve assembly on. So we'll start, well, I don't know which side I'm going to start on here, but we do have to drill a couple of holes in these brackets so that we can kind of use the bolts that are already there, and then we're going to make an angle iron bracket up to hold that hydraulic valve, and we'll use the holes, the bolts that are already there as well. Then we're going to jump over to the other side and we'll install the hydraulic oil reservoir. That'll mount right in this area here. We do have to put these air tanks on this right side and remount the dryer. Now, probably could put the dryer somewhere in here, but we do have an air tank that falls on the inside of the frame, but we could move the air tank that was on the inside of the frame. We could move that to the outside and just put it just above this one here. No, that one goes in underneath, but we could put it on the outside of the frame somewhere in here so that we can put the air dryer on the inside, or vice versa. We'll cross that road when we get to it. So with that being said, that is gonna do it for this video. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and we will catch you at the next one.